It can be an activity in your own classroom. It can be a collaborative effort in your schools amongst classes, or as far as the global area. Excuse me. So I'm just going to sign in here. Just as I'm doing this, I'll say that Storybird is an excellent way to also assess students. And from my experience as well, it was a way to kind of get past the time barrier in a lot of cases that we had in our example with Australia. Okay, so I'm just going to start by taking you through the actual program, and you might get some ideas on how to use it in your own area of learning. And then I'll just show you a few examples of my students and what they've created. Okay, so first of all, I'll just show you what exactly this is. Excuse me too, I'm having a little bit of a tickle in my throat. Okay, so when you navigate to the Create a Storybird, I'll just kind of fly by as we go here. You'll see at first, once you've signed up your students, and we can go over that in just a minute, you'll see a number of artwork here on the screen, and it's really endless for that matter. And what this is provides a starting point for students to choose artwork that appeals to them. And once they find out something that catches their eye and they choose that, then they can begin to create their story. So I'm just going to show you a little bit of this artwork here. And if you're following with me, again, this is storybird.com. This is a total secure site as well. Only those with invitations can view the materials unless they're published publicly. Okay, so let's say you're going through and you choose, let's just choose this piece here. Okay, so at first you're able to view the artwork itself. There is a title for it that the artist would have given it, but the discretion is up to you and your students, obviously. And what you can do is you can look at the main showcasing piece of this art, but you can also go down here and look at all the other pieces of art that go along with it. So as your students flip through, they might find something that appeals to them, so they can flip through the pictures and take a look at those. And so you can see that this evokes some creative writing, I'm sure. So I'll let you go through and find out a lot of the different pieces that you might find appropriate for your classroom. You can also view them all right down here. But as your students are set up with this, you choose to use this art. You can use that for a story and or for a poem. And basically the only difference between these two is the way it's set up, the platform of the story. So I'm going to choose Create for a Story. Now, as you can see, it's chosen the picture by default right away that I liked. But as you can see down in this bottom left corner, you'll see that there's a cover page and then page 1 of the actual story itself. So for a cover, if I click on the cover, it will allow me, and it kind of guides you through as you go too, so you won't need my help when you start this after. There's 4 main styles that you can choose: landscape, classic, journal, or iconic. So you can have students keeping a journal in this as well. Could even express how they're feeling on a certain day. So for an actual title page, I'm just going to go through this quickly, and I'll choose this here. What I can do when I drag this over. Oh, sorry, I think I have to choose first. I'm going to choose landscape. Excuse me. So yeah, so I'm going to actually choose this picture to go on top, and this might be the cover of my story, and I can actually title that. Just type in my story name, and then here's where my name goes itself. I can also choose a different color scheme for this product. Okay, now as you go through, you'll see that there are many opportunities for you to start writing. So that's my cover. Going on to page 1, so my cover would look like this. And I can switch this around too. I can have it so that the picture is on the top or is on the side and the bottom, and whatnot. Okay, so as I move through, as I said, I'm going over to these pages, and that allows me to choose the pages I'm using. if I actually go into my first page, here's my dialog box here, and students can type in this spot here. And so on. And as you go into to create more pages, you just go over to this plus button, add a page, and then you can choose a different picture to post in there. So I just come over here and click on the picture that I like. I can put it on the side or on this side. I can put it, depending on the way it's set up, I can sometimes, if it's a landscape picture, put it on the top as well. So this is allowing students to create stories. What I had students do is attempt to use a lot of the images at first and then get their ideas straight. They can use paper beside them to map out these ideas and whatnot as well. And then they just create more dialogue again on the side. So hopefully you get an idea of how this works. I'm actually going to go through now and just show you a few of the projects that my students have done and how we use those as well to connect globally. I'll also show you how you actually create stories with collaborating with other countries around the world. Okay, so this is my actual section here. It just says you. This is always at the top left of the screen. You create, explore. Explore allows you to read other storybirds that have been created. So if we're going to look at my stuff, I'm just going into classes right now. And what I've done is my previous class, Mr. McGuire's grade 2 class, that would be the title that I gave my classroom. And if you want to do that, you can sign up at different classes if you want as well. If you're a teacher that teaches 3 or 4 classes, you can add multiple classes. So if I need to add a class, I just go to this bar and come down to add a class. I have 2 classes on at the moment, sorry. Mr. McGuire's grade 2 class, and I have this global storytellers class as well. This was a project that, an answer that I had to a teacher from Australia who wanted to connect, but we have the time zone differences, and when we were sleeping, they were in class, and when we were in class, they were sleeping. So we thought that this would be an interesting way to share a collaboration together based off literacy and other subject areas. So I'll click on this global storytellers. That's what we named the class. And excuse me. And as you can see here, this is the classroom that I set up. The titles of some of the stories that they've written, as well as the student names, the usernames, and when they were on, this last particular class was on. So how I set that up, just so you're aware, when I do set up student names, excuse me, I usually use a first name and then a last initial. I don't even actually put their last name in, even though this is only seen by myself and the other collaborating teachers. I still don't put in last names. I just use a first name and a last initial. For the student's username, so they're easily recognized by their peers, I'll put their first name, their last initial, or initials, and the 3 letters of their school, or the initials of their school. So KPS was the school in Australia that we were working. KCS was our school. So Sophie D, KCS would be her username. Okay. Now, this allows me to see all the works that were created by my students, collaboratively with students from Australia. As you can see, there's 6 pages of stories that we've created. It's really an engaging program that you can see your students create a lot of work. And they're working and creating from home as well, which is amazing. Their quality of work, you'll see that the quality is really improved. A lot of times they're writing for an authentic audience or with an audience as well, or with a partner that they're collaborating with. But there's lots of actions over here. You can award badges or medals for things for students that go above and beyond. Over here you can actually share these stories, and then there's purchases. You can delete the stories. You can also publish these. as well. Okay, so over on this area up top, this is kind of like my main hub for this classroom. If you look over here, I click on students, it'll show you everyone from my class again. Their passwords are activated. It gives them a temporary password. What I do is I actually go in and change all those passwords so they'll sync up with their passwords that they're using on their netbooks or their devices. So it just keeps things consistent. So I go through and change those. I also make them little word cards, login cards that they can use to make things relatively smooth when they're logging in. I'll just say storybird.com username password for each student. And then again, it shows their, how many visits they've had. So this particular class was finished at the end of 2012. Some of them, as you can see, also went on in 2013. A lot of these kids are still writing in different platforms today. You can assign assignments, and this is the assignment that I created at the very start. This was kind of to introduce students to the program and also allow them to read on their own and figure out what was required of them for the assignment. So if we click on this quite quickly, you'll see that this is a little story I did up quickly. Same process as I showed you before. I just called my story "A Head is a Funny Thing," Matt McGuire. This is my cover. And as I click to the next page, students are reading this itself. So it says instructions: read the story that Mr. McGuire wrote called "A Head is a Funny Thing." Then you can use your Storybird to write your own story, but with your global storyteller friends from another country. Canada will start, and Australia will follow. Ready, set, go. So this assignment ended November 23rd, but as you can see, this is another way of students to get the instruction from the story. And as they read the story, they'll just see that I actually use this as a rhyming story. So I created my own, and they can see kind of how it works and that how simple it is, how user-friendly it is, and how every picture is somewhat working together. And I looked at all the pictures before creating my story, which was a strategy that I encouraged them to do as well. Okay, and that was the end of my story. And at the end, you can read it again or create your own. So this was an immediate link for the students to start creating their own. Now, what we did collaboratively in Australia was we paired students up based on their interests. So if I had a little guy in my room who was interested in Yu-Gi-Oh, and my collaborating teacher had another student in her class that was interested in the same, we paired those boys up, and they were now partners for the project. Okay, so other than that, I think that's the gist of everything. If you want to see what my students actually created with the few minutes left, then we'll take some questions. If I go back to classes. And these are all, again, all the pages. This boy, Irfan, from Australia, did a magical number of stories. But if you actually look at this, this is the rude mouse that stole everything. This is an example of a girl from my classroom and a girl from Australia collaborating together. So this was their first story, their first attempt at making one. As you can see, there's 173 words in 6 pages, and this was the story illustrations that they chose. So Bryn and Jaden created a story. How this worked was fantastic to watch. The students were so excited to write. How this worked is Bryn would jump on, and she chose, collaborating with her partner, they chose this the story cover and the art theme, and Bryn decided she wanted to call this, based off the picture, the rude mouse that stole everything. So she did the cover, added the names, and then she wrote the first page. Now, maybe something happened to her picture here. I'm not sure, but the rude mouse was looking around town and found a donut shop, and he decided to go in and get a donut so he could eat it on his way home. Bryn would have written that first page, submitted it, traded off with her partner, and Bryn would have went to sleep that night, and her partner would have woke up, read what Bryn wrote, got excited, and contributed. So when her partner contributed this, her partner would go home, go to bed. Bryn would wake up again the next day as part of her literacy component. She'd jump on Storybird, read what her partner had wrote. The rude mouse tiptoed into the video shop, looking in a comedy section, grabbing 5 movies, and he walked out. I'll return them on Sunday. The mouse said. Bryn gets an idea, and she goes on and chooses her next visual piece and adds the dialogue to that. Now, as an educator, it's excellent because I can go through and I can actually assess this and see how well Bryn's doing. If she's using proper punctuation, if she's using capitals, how her grammar, spelling, and whatnot is. It's a great way for me to assess. And again, I can give badges and even assign more work to her again. Okay, so what I recommend for you in this program is create an account, go through and just play with it, and see the effects of it, how you can use it in your own learning environment, and have fun. If you have any questions, I would love to hear them.